When trusting Allah feels heavy, tawakkul in the midst of anxiety, depression, and emotional pain. When faith meets exhaustion, there are moments in life when the heart feels stretched to its limits. You may be exhausted, waiting on a life-changing decision, unsure how long your patience will hold. You try to keep your prayers sincere. You tell yourself, have tawakkul, just trust Allah. But inside, you feel anxious, low, and even hurt by the people closest to you. And then comes the guilt. If I really trusted Allah, would I feel like this? Is my sadness a sign of weak iman? Why do I feel so alone, even when I turn to Him? This piece is a companion for that season, the one where you're holding on with trembling hands. Islam does not ask you to erase your emotions. It invites you to bring them to Allah, raw and unfiltered. Tawakkul is not the absence of emotion. It is faith that lives within it. Can you be anxious or depressed and still have tawakkul? 1. Tawakkul is not the absence of emotion. Tawakkul means trusting Allah while taking the necessary steps, asbab. It doesn't mean you'll feel emotionally numb or unaffected. Life trials can still shake the heart, even of the most faithful. Prophets felt fear and sorrow, yet they were the most devoted to Allah. Musa, as feared for his life when told to confront Pharaoh. Maryam, as the mother of Isa, as, in her moment of isolation and labor, cried, I wish I had died before this and was in oblivion, forgotten. Qur'an 19:23. The Prophet grieved deeply during the year of sorrow after losing Khadijah and Abu Talib. Even in those crushing moments they turned to Allah, not with perfection, but with honesty. Their tears didn't cancel their faith, their fear didn't erase their reliance. It deepened it. Lesson. You are not faithless because you feel overwhelmed. You are faithful because you keep turning back, even in the dark. Scholarly insight. Imam al-Ghazali in Ulam al-Din writes that tawakkul is the soul's repose in the reliance on God after putting in effort. He emphasizes that the soul is not free from distress. Rather, tawakkul is a conscious surrender while the heart still endures struggle. This means that spiritual trust grows not by avoiding emotion but by embracing it within faith. Anxiety doesn't mean you lack faith. Sometimes anxiety sits in your chest like a cold, heavy stone, pressing down on your breath. You might whisper your dua with trembling lips, wonder why Allah hasn't answered yet, or feel like you're walking through a dense fog where every step forward disappears. But Islam never demands emotional detachment. The Quran doesn't say, don't feel. It says, indeed, the hearts find rest in the remembrance of Allah. Quran 13:28. That rest comes through the turbulence, not in its absence. So if you're whispering dua while your heart pounds, holding back tears in sajda, getting out of bed to pray despite the exhaustion, then that is tawakkul in action. Not because you feel confident, but because you show up anyway. Reminder. The Prophet said, know that what missed you was never meant to befall you, and what befell you was never meant to miss you. Tirmidhi. Your job is to knock. The door opens in Allah's perfect time. Scholarly insight. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya describes anxiety as a spiritual trial and an opportunity for purification. He likens the heart to a chest of treasures. Distress shakes out what is worthless, allowing faith to shine more brightly. The anxiety itself becomes a transformative force when met with tawakkul. What if you're feeling depressed? Depression is not just sadness, it's numbness, heaviness, fatigue, and often shame. It's the ache of being unable to feel anything at all. And in that state, many feel spiritually broken. But the Quran gives sacred space to depression-like states. Jacob, as lost his son and cried until he lost his eyesight. His eyes turned white from grief, for he was that sorrowful. Quran 12-84. Yet Allah honored him, He didn't shame his pain. The Prophet was so sorrowful during the year of sadness that even revelation briefly paused. Allah responded, not with blame, but with comfort. Your Lord has not forsaken you, nor is He displeased. Quran 93-3. What to keep in mind: depression isn't weakness. It's a wound, and Allah is Ash-Shafi, the one who heals. Tawakkul during depression might look like making wudu even when your body feels like stone. Saying, Ya Allah, even when it feels hollow. Holding on by a thread, and whispering, help me. Hadith. No fatigue, nor disease, nor sorrow, nor sadness, nor hurt nor distress befalls a Muslim. except that Allah expiates some of his sins. Bukhari, even your sadness is counted. Even your silence is heard. Scholarly insight. Al-Ghazali teaches that spiritual sadness, huzn, is sometimes a mercy from Allah to awaken the heart from heedlessness. It's the darkness before dawn, a necessary stage in the soul's journey toward light. Channeling emotion into faith. Emotions aren't interruptions to your spiritual life. They're the raw material Allah invites you to shape into worship. When you feel overwhelmed, turn to dua, not just for solutions, but to sit with Allah in your uncertainty. O Allah, I don't know how this ends, but I trust you do. Let Salah become your safe space. If all you can do is weep in sujood, that counts. The Prophet said, the closest a servant is to his Lord is when he is in prostration. Muslim, repeat dhikr that roots the heart when it shakes. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is sufficient for us and the best disposer of affairs. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no power or strength except with Allah. These are not magic spells, they are soul-calming anchors. Being hurt by those close to you while you're vulnerable. Perhaps the hardest part is when you're already in a fragile state, and those around you begin to wound you further. Dismissive words, lack of empathy, emotional coldness. These cuts come from people who should have been safe. Islam acknowledges that some of the deepest pain comes from the closest relationships. Yusuf, was betrayed by his own brothers. The Prophet was mocked by his tribe. Luqman advised his son with gentleness, even when warning about the pressure of family leading one astray. What can you do? Protect your boundaries. Islam honors your emotional well-being. If someone is harming you, even subtly, you are allowed to step back with ihsan, grace. Do not allow your dislike of people to lead you to injustice. Quran 5-8, but do protect yourself. Seek strength from Allah. Say, Ya Allah, you know what I cannot speak. You see what I cannot explain. And Allah is ever, over all things, an observer. Quran 33-52. Don't let their actions define you. You are not what they say. You are not what they failed to give. You are what Allah sees in you, and He sees every quiet effort, every invisible bruise. Be patient, but not silent. If it's safe to speak, do so. But if it's not, Allah is your witness, and He will not let your pain go unpaid. Whoever pardons and makes reconciliation, his reward is with Allah. Quran 42-40, but reconciliation is not always contact. Sometimes, it's distance. Tawakkul isn't perfection, it's holding on when you feel like letting go. Tawakkul is not a mood. It's not a constant calm smile or steady breath. It's what happens when everything feels unstable, and you still whisper His name. You can have tawakkul and feel anxious. You can have tawakkul and feel depressed. You can have tawakkul and be devastated by those closest to you. You can be struggling, and still be incredibly close to Allah. Sometimes even closer than in your most peaceful moments. True tawakkul says, Ya Allah, I don't feel okay. But I'm not walking away from you. And that sacred refusal to let go, is one of the most beloved forms of faith.